Hello, everyone. Can I get a confirmation if I'm audible? All right. So the time is up. We are going to start a brief introduction to Power BI in the form of this presentation. Before that, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Ashutosh Samadhiya. I have around 14 years of experience on SAP Business Intelligence platform. Along with that, I have did some self-study or self-learning on various other business intelligence tool like Power BI, Tableau, BODS, SSIS, SSAS, etc. So yes, you can say that I have devoted my own entire career on business intelligence, and here I am spreading some knowledge for your help. And if you guys have any questions, please drop in a comment or drop me an email. My email information will be shared with you after this slide, after this presentation. Thank you very much. So the agenda of this presentation is going to be a couple of points. It's basically going to be a very short introduction sort of on Power BI as a business intelligence tool. If you need some detailed information about it, again, please do not forget to drop me a message or drop me an email. We can have a detailed session as well. So as far as this presentation is concerned, the main agenda is going to be what is Power BI, the features of Power BI, various components of Power BI, the architecture of Power BI. Then we are going to do a little working with Power BI in the form of a demo. The demo will cover up certain points such as the supported data sources, connecting to various data sources, importing data from multiple data sources. Then we're going to do a sort of data modeling exercise. We're going to cover up the visualizations. The visualizations that are given by default in Power BI, as well as there are certain visualizations that Power BI is a tool that helps us use custom visualizations as well. So we're going to see how to import them within our Power BI environment. Then the last topic will be publishing reports, and then there will be a round of question answers. So if you have any questions, be prepared. Just keep a note of them. Again, to start with, what is Power BI? If you remember in my last session with you guys, we covered up a topic on, we covered up a brief introduction on business intelligence. So Power BI is actually a business intelligence tool. We have an option. It could be either cloud-based, it could be, or it can be the on-premise environment. Whereas, in a short summary, if I say Power BI is actually a cloud-based business analysis and intelligence service, which is provided by Microsoft. So it has a capability to import data from multiple data sources, do your reportings. It supports multiple data connectors. It supports us to share our reports in the form of dashboards to multiple users. And again, we just discussed in the previous slide that we have an option to use custom visualizations, custom APIs, custom connectors within Power BI. So it's kind of very flexible tool. We're going to discuss this in detail in our coming slides. Why do we need to use Power BI is a very big question. There are multiple business intelligence tools available in the market. Why would one want to use Power BI? So let me tell you, there are three major business intelligence tool in the market: Power BI, Tableau, SAP BI, and to some extent, there is a fourth competitor in the form of ClickView. I must tell you, I have used all four of them. Power BI is something that is the most user friendly. So if you are not very technical, if you are sort of a manager role, Power BI is something that is something you can learn very easily. Number two, it is not very expensive. It's very cost effective. For a single user, you may end up paying not more than $10 per month. If you go for a premium version, which is also going to be a cloud version, you would be paying somewhere around $4,900 per month. But then that will also give you a lot of cloud space, a lot of cloud computing options. So that is basically for enterprise users. Coming on to the main features of Power BI, what is about Power BI that differentiates it from the other competitors. So number one is visualizations, custom visualizations, to be very specific. So Power BI is the only tool that is available in the market that can actually support custom visualizations. Visualizations are nothing but the charts, the way we want to display our data in the reports. So those are called visualizations. There are a lot of visualizations that has been given to us by Microsoft within Power BI. But at the same time, we can also create our own visualizations. It could be animated visualizations. It could be any, in any form, however way you want to display your data. You can use, you can actually import those visualizations within Power BI platform, and then connect them with the proper data values, and we are good to go. We have a lot of data connections, different sort of data connectors that we can use in order to connect to multiple data sources. It could be in the form of Azure data connectors. It can be AWS data connectors. It could be you can connect with Access. You can connect with Excel, Oracle. So there are thousands of data connectors that are available within Power BI, and we can use all of them in order to connect to the type of data source we are trying to connect to. Then we have data sets. So every time we are publishing a report, that report is actually and at the background report contains certain amount of data. So every data, the set of data that is representing a particular report is actually called as data sets. So when we are creating a report within Power BI desktop, the moment we publish that report onto Power BI website, which is the cloud version of Power BI, that report splits into two parts. The one part is going to be just the report, which is just a sort of group of visualizations that we have created. And the second part will be the data set. The data set is actually the data model along with the the data that we are using within the report. And the best part about this data set is that data set is actually in direct connection with your original database, and you can actually refresh that data set on daily basis, on hourly basis, just to make sure that the data that is displayed within the report is up to the mark, or let's say the latest data as desired. Then we have dashboards. Every report that we are publishing within the Power BI website, we can actually split up those reports, or maybe select certain sections or certain segments of that report and pin them into the dashboard, just to give a if in case any manager or someone who is not very much into technicality, who doesn't want to get into a lot of technicality, but still would want to know what is going on behind the picture, what's the data trend. So we just need to pin up those data, those report components within a dashboard, and we can share those dashboards. We can apply a lot of filters, if you want to filter those reports by year, or maybe by product category, or maybe by year, quarter, month. I'm sure you all are aware of the filters option and how they work. Then we have ad hoc analysis. At the runtime, we can also drag and drop certain values from our data set, and check out the trends. We can create ad hoc reports based on the data that based on the requirement, I would say. Then there is a very good, very impressive option that has been given to us. It's a natural language question and answer box. So all you need to do is, we have a data set, we have a reporting panel. All you need to do is, within the natural language Q&A box, you just have to type, give me total sales of XYZ product from US region. Is as simple as that. And it's such a smart, intelligent engine that it will actually process your natural language. It will identify what is the data that you're looking for, and it will display it to you in the report panel, which is a very impressive feature, and you won't find it in any other PI tool. Now we have DAX function and formulas, which is actually a very powerful tool to create your own formulas, to create your own calculation within the report. The reason of doing this, of using DAX functions, is just to speed up. If your report has a lot of calculations that needs to be done, instead of creating those calculations at the column level within the database, you can always make use of DAX functions, and just to speed up your report processing. And then again, authoring interactive reports. All the reports that we are creating within Power BI are going to be interactive reports. So you can, based on your permissions, you can edit those reports, you can publish those reports, you can make changes within those reports. Everything in your, with the help of your mouse click. It's a very, like I said, it's very user-friendly tool. Now, Power BI comes with certain components. If you are aware of Excel pretty well, and if you have been using Microsoft Excel version 2013 and above, you would be aware of Power Pivot, Power Query, Power Map, for that matter. All these are actually embedded options within your Excel, which are used for reporting purpose, which are used for extracting reports from your database, or extracting data from your data sources. Now Power BI has actually bundled all those options from all those add-ons from your Excel in a different tool, which is in the form of Power BI. So you have Power Pivot, which is a part of Power BI. Power Pivot is actually used to analyze data, to perform data modeling. Then we have Power Query, which is required to, which is in Excel used to require to connect to various data sources and pull the data from them, which is a part of Power BI now. Power BI Desktop is a tool that will have all these options. So when we are going to do the live demo, we are going to work on Power Desktop. So there is no tool as such called Power Pivot or Power Query within Power BI Desktop. It's just a Power BI Desktop, and within that we are going to use these options, as in when we go further with this presentation. Then we have Power BI Website. Power BI website is going to be coming into picture when we are using the Power BI professional account, wherein we are using. So Power BI Desktop and Power BI Website are pretty much the same thing. It's just the difference between the client. So the client, if it's going to be the local client, it's Power BI Desktop, and if it's going to be an on-cloud client, it's going to be Power BI Website. Now we have, like I discussed in the previous slides, Power BI Q&A. It's the same Q&A engine wherein it processes the natural language. You just have to type in the questions, and it will give you the answers based on the data available. Power Service is again it's an engine that runs at the background. We'll come to that later when we are discussing the Power BI architecture. Then we have Data Management Gateways. It's actually a gateway that is required. Gateway services that is required if you're storing your data on the cloud, or if you're storing your data sources, data sets on the cloud, and then you want them to merge with the original data that is present on-prem. So it is actually, this gateway is required to sync the data, or let's say refresh the data, so that you get the latest data in your report. And then we have Power BI mobile apps. So every dashboard that you are publishing, you will have an option to view those dashboards from mobile. So pretty much everything that you are going to do on your desktop, you can always perform using your mobile device. Here is a slide that will give you a brief intro to the architecture of your Power BI system. So we have data source that could be in the form of Oracle, that could be in the form of IBM DB2, it could be in the form of SQL Server, it could be at cloud locations. Power BI Desktop has a powerful engine that has the capability to extract the data from all these data sources, provided we create a connection between the desktop and the data sources. It will process that data. You can do a data modeling part also within Power BI Desktop, which is a very powerful engine. Once we are done with the modeling, we can create reports out of it, and then we can publish those reports into the Power BI server in case we are using the cloud version, or if we are using the on-prem. There we have a Power BI report server that will be actually saving your created reports and dashboards. Once we have them in place, we just have to publish or share it with the end user in the form of delivery. So that's pretty much everything about the Power BI architecture. I'm going to give you a short demonstration, and after that, we'll come to the question answers part. The demonstration will include, us importing data from. I've created a couple of Excels that will require us to transform. So one Excel, to transform the data so that it becomes it converts into a more presentable form, and then we will be using we will be joining those tables based on the tools, data modeling tools that has been given to us by Power BI. Then we are going to create short reports and publish them and create a dashboard out of them. So let's start with that. Again, I would say if you have any questions related to anything, please feel free to drop me an email or just type in your comments. All right, so this is how your Power BI desktop looks. This is the screen. This is, I've just clicked on Power BI desktop that has been installed in my machine. If you see, there is a Power BI desktop tool installed. When you click on it, this is what it will give you. This is a plain, if you're someone who is very new to Power BI or any of the business intelligence tool, this is pretty simple, clean screen. You wouldn't know what you want to do with it unless you start importing tables from the other data sources. So the very first step when we are working on Power BI is to pull the data. So at the home, within the menu, you see there is an option called Get Data. I'm going to click on Get Data. This is going to give me the common data sources that we have. Let me just give you a more detailed look into that. Since I'm using the Power BI desktop version, the speed of the processing depends totally on my laptop. So here, if you see, these are the options. These are some of the options, some of the connections that we can use in order to connect to any of the database. These are the data sources, type of data sources that we can use. Guys, just hang on, please. Yeah, Ritesh. Oh, sorry. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. Looks like my screen is not getting displayed, so I'll have to just make certain changes. I hope you all can see my screen now. Here I am. I'll just repeat everything again. So this is the Power BI desktop screen that appears the moment you click on the Power BI desktop icon after you have installed it on your machine, on your local machine. So this is how it looks. And it's very simple screen. You will not understand what exactly is going on here unless you start pulling off the data from various data sources. So I will click on the very first step that I'm going to do is I'll click on get data. The get data is going to pull, give us a list of data sources from where we can, get our data. These are This is the list of data sources from where we can pull our data. Right now, I have created a couple of Excels, and I'm gonna click on connect. I have saved those Excel files within my desktop. So these are the two Excels that we're going to use. One Excel is database, which has a couple of tables in the form of sheets. So I'm going to click on open. Now the Power BI will do its own processing. It is like I said, it's a very smart engine. The moment we import the tables within our environment, it will try to connect the link, detect the cardinalities between those tables. It will detect the joins within those tables, and it will do it automatically. But in order to explain, I'm going to delete those automatically created joins, and we're going to do them separately. So these are the four sheets that I have within that Excel. I'm going to select all of them. If you see on the right, it is going to give us a preview of whatever sheet is selected. It is going to give you a preview of the data. If everything looks good, just click on load. It has some good amount of data. This is the reason why it's taking a couple of minutes. But once it's there, it's going to be fast as a jet. Now, if you see, we have three different panels within our Power BI. This number one on your left, this is going to be the reporting panel, where we are going to create reports from the objects. The second one is a data modeling panel. If you look at it, this is where we actually transform the data if there is any changes in any of the columns. If we want to change the data type of the column, this is where we do all those transformations of any of the report, of any of the table for that matter. And the third one is the data modeling tab. If you see, these are the tables that I have just imported from the Excel. And the smart engine of Power BI has already connected these tables in the form of joins. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete all these joins, because we still have one more table to import. And then once we import that particular table, we are going to join this table to do our reporting. So for now, let me just delete them. And it's also easier for you to understand, when we do that from the scratch. So right now, there are no joins at all. What I have done is I've just separated the dimension tables and the one fact table, that is sales, just so that we have a better understanding of. All right, so we have imported one file. Time to import another one. But before we import another one, I would actually want you to have a look at that particular file. So let me, before importing it within So that file is going to be the budget file. If you see this Excel, all right, please respect my privacy. If you look at the Excel, it is basically, something that a manager would want to see. If there is a requirement wherein a manager wanted to see the budget that we have for each of the category, subcategory, and the product for a particular month within a year. So if you see, this is actually a data for only 1 year, and every month, and then there is a subcategory like accessories, bikes, clothing, and then there is a total for each of these categories. Now this itself is a report. Imagine if the manager asks for data for 5 years. In that case, we are going to have 12 into 5, 60 more columns like this, 12 column for each year, which that is when the picture gets starting tedious. That is where the confusion starts appearing in the picture. And that is what we want to get rid of when we are doing a Power BI reporting. We want to avoid unnecessary clustering, unnecessary redundancy of any of the data. So this is the reason we are going to do a little transformation within this table with the help of our Power BI transformation tool. So the very first thing I'm going to do is, I know that this table needs to be cleared. There are certain things there are certain unwanted information. There are certain cleansing that needs to be done. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to import the Excel. Again, I hit on get data. It is going to give me the list of data sources that I can extract data from. I'm selecting Excel, connect. Now, budget, open. Now, what it does is it has connected to the budget Excel. I am selecting that sheet. Now, over here, if you see the preview of the data, it's pretty much just like the Excel that we have viewed. It's in the same format. Only thing is there are a lot of null values over here that we may not need. There is a lot of, this doesn't look very appealing to eyes, especially if we start analyzing data for multiple years. This is only for 2016. So instead of load, I will click on transform the data. Now, guys, this query editor is a very powerful tool. I would say that maximum part, most of the cooking within Power BI is done in this screen, the Power BI query editor, if you look at the left top. So this is a very crucial tool. All I want to do is just keep an eye on this applied steps section, which is on the right. This is a very interesting section, and you won't find this on any other tool. I'll tell you the use of it as we go further, but this is just keep an eye on it every time I perform a step. All you need to do is just keep an eye on, keep a check on this applied steps section. So the very first thing I am going to do is, I do not want the grand total column. When I'm creating a report, I can do this analysis later. So I'm going to select this column, remove column. So the grand total column is gone. Now, if you see, there is a check, there is another a step added, removed columns. So I just removed a column. It has just added that step. I'll tell you what else it can do. Now, if you see our column header, basically we want these column number 3 as to be our header, because this is the relevant information. This prepared by, and this is something that has to do with the order of the Excel file. So I'm going to remove 2 rows from here. Remove top rows. It's going to ask me the number of rows that I want to remove. I'm going to select 2 and I'll hit on OK. On the right, if you see, it has removed top rows. There is a step that has been applied. Now, if you see, the header is still in the form of column 1, column 3, column 4, column 5. We don't want this. This is the number 1 row is what we want to use as our header. So there is an option right in the front top screen, which is use first row as headers. I'm going to hit on it. On the right side, you'll see two steps added: promoted, header, changed type. Now I'll tell you what changed type. It's just changed the type of the table from type of this uh, row from a part of data to become a header of that particular Excel. So we did that. Now there are certain null values which we do not want because they will not make any sense when we are doing our analysis. I am gonna apply a filter from the category. I will remove all the all the rows that will have total, because those, if you see subtotal, grand total, I'm just using a text filter. I don't want this grand total field. I don't want subtotal clothing field. I don't want subtotal bikes. I don't want subtotal accessories because they're all null. So I'm going to click on apply this filter. Does not contain total, and mind you, it is a case sensitive, so total T has to be in uppercase. I click on OK. We have further cleaned our data. Now, if like the situation that we discussed when I was explaining you the Excel, if at all the data is for multiple years, in that case, we are going to get n number of 12 into n number of column for each year, where n is the number of years for which we want the data. This is going to be a very tedious process. This is going to be very difficult for us to analyze because we just have to keep on scrolling towards the right in order to understand. Let's say right now it's 2016. I mean, if it had our data for 2020, we just have to keep on scrolling till we reach 2020, and then it's actually a very time-consuming process. What this tool has given us is an option to convert these columns, these rows into columns. Sorry, these columns into rows. So the process is obviously called pivot. I'm sure you all must be aware of the term pivoting. So I'm gonna select from January 2016 to December 2016. I will right click and unpivot columns. Now let's look at this. We have reduced the number of columns. Everything that was displayed in the column is now a part of the row. So it is easier for us to perform an SQL statement on this table. It is easier for us to drag these tables within our reports. It will be easier for us to aggregate the values based on year. So this is something that has been given to us from by the tool Power BI. Now look at the beautiful part on the right. Like I said, just keep on looking at the applied steps. So basically this, I have just unpivoted a column. If I want to see what exactly let's say I am not even the author, I'm not even the one who's performing all these actions. I have been suddenly given a data set to review. I would never know what exactly are those changes that a person who was working before me in an organization did to this particular data set. That is when these applied steps will help us. If I right now unpivoted column part is selected because we have just unpivoted. If we want to see how it looked before unpivoting, we will just skip that unpivoted column step and we'll come to the one above it. If you look at it, it is back to the normal type how it was before. The column are again in pivoted state. If you want to go further back, it's actually literally time traveling. This is literally giving us the picture of how the table was in earlier stages before any transformation was done. So this is very easy for us to document. This gives us very easy to, this gives us a possibility for a third person to understand what exactly are the transformation that a person has done. So this is the reason why applied step is very important, and it's a unique feature of Power BI. Again, we have just a little bit transformed our table. I'm gonna rename this column. Just simply right click, rename. Since it's a month, I'm gonna rename it to month. This is our budget amount. I'm gonna rename it to we can also change the data type of any of the column. Let's come to that later. So for now, we have just renamed the two columns, one to month and one to budget amount. All we need to do is close and apply. Now, if I come to my, it's just applying certain changes. If I come to my data modeling tab, you see there is the budget table that has been added and the connection has been made by default. I'm just going to remove this connection as well. All right. So we have 4 dimension table. We have 2 the budget table, 2 fact tables. Now we're going to join these tables. See, the reason why we join a table is because we want to create a context. We want a user to be able to do the slicing and dicing. I would want, for an example, a user would want to know the product, the sales of a particular product by category, by color, by date, by month. There are a lot of possibilities that a user may expect and end user may expect from you when you are creating a data model. So this is why we are required to join these tables, which are otherwise in a non-joined form. So I'm going to use this calendar date to connect to order date in sales table. It has made a one-to-many join. So this cardinality as well is auto-detected. If you think that any of the cardinality is wrong, or you think that there could be a many-to-many join within a particular table, all you need to do is just double-click on it. You can always edit this cardinality, many to one-to-many, or whatever it is you want. Customer, I have a customer key over here. And I have a customer key within our sales table. So I'm going to make a join. We have a territory, sales territory key within the sales table. We are going to make that join. And then product key from the product table to the product key in the sales table. We have joined our sales table. So now you see it's sort of a star schema that we have created. A sales table, one fact table is connected to multiple dimension tables. Now let's consider budget. So budget will have a product key. So it is going to connect to the product table. Yes. It's a very simple drag and drop. You have to just drag a column from one table and drop it onto the other one. It will detect the cardinality by itself unless and until you want to make those changes manually. The second one is month, so which is a date, this is the column that we have just renamed. I'm going to connect it to the calendar date. Now we have done our data modeling. The complexity of the data model will again depend on the kind of data warehouse you're dealing with, the kind of domain you're working on, the kind of requirement, the report requirement is there by the client. So that this all completely depends. So that is something that needs to be discussed in other classes or in other webinars. But for now, this is a very simple database we have just connected. If I go back to my reporting panel, you will see that all these tables are now here in the form of objects. And within those objects, we have all the columns mentioned here. Now, in order to do the reporting, these are the visualizations that has been given to us by Power BI. So if you look at it, we have stacked bar chart, we have stacked column chart, we have clustered bar chart. Let's, for an example, just use a simple table. I'll click on simple table, and it will give me a sort of structure of a table. I want this to have, from the calendar, I'm going to select year. You just have to click on this checkbox, and it is going to display the year on your left panel within the table. Now I want month, and I want sales from the sales table. I'm going to select sales amount. Here we go. All right. So I see that there is something wrong with the with the data type of our year. So the year is coming from budget. Now this is something that this is the reason why I did not do this activity in our previous steps, because I wanted to show you that once you are within the report panel, then also you will see certain discrepancies, certain things that are not right within the data. So you can always change them at runtime. So I see there is something wrong within our year, which has been pulled from calendar. So I'm going to go back to the table, select column, year. Now I need to do is, see right now, if you see the format is a whole number, I'm going to make it a general. I make it as general, and it is also summarizing the year. I don't know why it's summarizing the year, so I'm going to don't summarize. Now after this step, it is working on it. If I go back to my reporting panel, if I remove the year, and I bring it back, you see the year is now displaying properly. So all I need to do is just arrange it in the order where how it was earlier. So we have year, month, sales amount. Another thing, if you see, the months are not sorted, and there is no way, if we click on the month, it's going to be sorting in alphabetical order. So there is this is something that needs to be done again at the table level. So I'm going to come back to table. This is where we are getting our month from. I'm going to select this column. Data type is text. I'm going to make the data type as date. Yes. If I go back to my reporting panel, month number. So we've just sorted by month number. So it is going to assign a number to the month, starting from January from January will be 1 and December will be 12. Now, if I go back to my reporting panel, you will see that my data is sorted. So it's Jan, Feb. Again, if you see, like we used data from multiple years, from 2014 to 2016, and we sorted on the basis of month. So you see it is January 2014, 2015, 2016. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply a filter. But before that, let me bring in another table, or maybe I'll just copy the same table, Control C, Control V. We have a copy of the same table. I'm going to shift it a little right. Okay, let me just pull another table here. Looks like there is something I'm not able to drag. Okay, I'm going to pull another table. I'll click somewhere on the blank space, hit on another table. This has created another structure for us. We're going to drag from calendar again, year, date, and this time instead of year, month, and this time instead of sales amount, we're going to pull in budget amount. Now, if you see, we only have budget. We only have the budget budget data for 2006 for year 2016. This is the reason why we are only getting year, month, budget amount. Perfect. We have a budget amount only for 2016. Guys, this is just a rough version that we are using. So please, if there is any data that is not being displayed, that's just because probably the table that I have created has certain discrepancies. But the reason behind this is just to make you understand, how it works as a whole. We have an option to use. Wait, looks like, let me just arrange it. So it's going to be month and then budget amount. And now, since it is showing the data only for 2016, and if you on the left, you see that for sales amount we have data for 2014 to 2016. We have an option to apply a filter within this report. If you see on the right hand side, there is a filter panel that says filters on this page and filters on all pages. So if you look at the bottom, this is the first page of the report that we are creating. If there are multiple reports you need to create in multiple pages, all you need to do is just click on new page, drag and drop your items, and you will be able to create those reports. Right now, I'm using just one page. So I'm going to create a filter within this page. And how we want to create a filter is, I just want to drag my year column and put it in filter. I want to set the type as basic filtering, and if I select in 2016, if you look at on the left, this is only displaying data for 2016. Similarly, if I select 2015, it is going to display data for 15 and 16 both. So this is how easy it can get. Now we can play with a lot of other visualization that has been given to us by Power BI. Let me just delete this extra table. Let's say you can either convert the same table into visualizations. Let's say if I click on the stacked bar chart, if you see, this is how it is going to be displayed. Since the data is not in sync with the bar chart format, this is the reason why we are getting this. But if I say I create let's say we create a bar chart for budget amount and month. Product key. Let me use sales amount. I think there is something wrong with our budget amount. Sales amount for year 2016. Like I said, we have applied a filter for 2016. If I select all, you will be able to see that this is how our chart is being represented. Now, this is how we can always convert this chart into pie chart, or if you want, you can always introduce a new bar chart. For me, I'm just selecting this existing bar graph, and I'm going to convert it into pie chart. You will be able to see within a year how much is the sales for with the help of Legend. For 2015, we have 5.76 million, 2014 and 2016 respectively. We have different values. So this is how we perform the reporting. Now, depending on what exactly is the report requirement, how the end user would want us to display the values within, from our tables, you need to make your choice of your report. Once the report is done, all we need to do is save that report within our desktop. I'm going to save it as PBI2. Save the report. and a very if you have a professional version, you will be able to see a publish button. If you click on publish, now remember we had a data set that we were using at the background. So this is the data set that we were using, and this is the report. And at the very first in the very first 5 minutes of the presentation, I explained to you that when we export a report within the Power BI website, the report splits into the visualization as well as the data set. So right now, if it's one report, I'm going to publish this report into our cloud environment. Yes, save. The report is published. If I have it is asking me to save it to my workspace. Yes, I'm going to select my workspace. There is some processing going on at the background. This is sort of a very short introduction, so I'm running a little bit fast, but I will be really happy to answer all your queries if you have any. So just email me, drop me a question regarding Power BI, and I would be happy to help. Now I'm logging onto my Power BI website. If I go to my workspace, if I click on report, you see this is the PBI2, that the report that I had just created, that we have just exported. And also, if I go to the data sets, this is the PBI2 data set. Now, guys, very important thing. This is the data set out of which we had created the PBI2 report. There may be a possibility that within the same data, with the use of same data set, you would want to create other report. There may be a possibility that the end user, or let's say in a present scenario, your manager would ask you to share the data set with him so that he himself can perform multiple analysis onto that same data set. So this is the one true source of the data that we have exported onto the cloud, and it can easily be shared with multiple users within your organization. For me, I'm going to go to the report. I'm going to open the PBI2 report. And this is the report that we had created. Now, if you see, when I hover over onto any of the visualization, I see a pin button at the top. All I need to do is just click on the pin visual option. It will ask me to save it to any of the dashboard. I would say create a new dashboard, name it to PBI2 and pin. Similarly, if I select this one, I'll just cancel this. I'll select the table. I'll click on pin. This table itself is going to pinned to the same dashboard. Now, similarly, this is just an example of the report. Our report may have multiple, let's say 10 to 20 visualizations, and you don't want your manager to see all the 10 visualizations. Or maybe your manager asks you to just give me a visualization of sales amount by year. So all you need to do is just go to your report, right click, select that visualization, pin it to a dashboard, and then share that dashboard with your manager. I will click to my MySpace. If I go to dashboard, you see there is a PBI2 dashboard that we have just created. If I click on this PBI2 dashboard, it will give me those same visualizations. Now there is nothing that we can do within this visualization except we can just check the data. Here. So this is the dashboard that we would be able to share with our managers. We can email this, we can save it, we can subscribe to a particular dashboard depending on the user requirement. And it's fun once we start exploring Power BI. It's actually a very simple tool, and the more deeper you get into, the more easy you're going to make your complex situations. So this is our time. We're running out of time. This was all about the introduction to the Power BI. Unless you have any other questions, I will sign off. And please feel free to email me. My email, you will get my email in the description of this video. I will be happy to answer all your queries. And thank you very much to CLT Consulting for giving me this opportunity. We will come up next with a brand new topic. If you have any suggestions or any inputs for this suggestion or the upcoming topics, please feel free to drop in a mail or a comment. Thank you very much.
Hello, sir. Ritesh here.
Hi, Ritesh.
Hello, everyone. So, one powerful like for Power BI. So, we have some questions. We will take one by one. So, first question is from Shubhangi. Hello.
Yes, I can.
Yes, sir. So, first question is from Shubhangi. You can see on screen.
Apparently, Ritesh, I'm not able to see the YouTube screen right now. So if you can just read
Yeah.
the question for me.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. To fetch data from DB, it processes queries. So, queries are written in which language?
So, that's Shubhangi, right?
Yeah, Shubhangi.
Shubhangi, when we are talking about fetching the data from the data source, the Power BI has an internal engine that has a connector which connects to multiple data sources, and depending on the type of database we are connecting, it is going to use the language, the SQL format of that particular database, and then fetch the data for you. So like I said, it supports multiple data connectors. It's just whatever data source you are trying to connect to, it will if we have that particular connector within our environment, it's going to use the same language.
So next question is from Jogini Palli. When we delete any row and column if that contains any formulas.
Mm-hmm.
When we
Can you?
delete any row and column
Mm-hmm.
if that contains any formulas.
So yes, even if there is a formula, that formula is actually being created at the report level. So if on the right hand panel, when if let me just I don't know if you guys can see my screen, but every formula that you are creating in within a particular table in Power BI, that formula entry is automatically added as an object within that table content. If on the right hand side, when we are viewing various tables from where we pulled the data, so let's say you are creating a formula using the objects from sales table. It is going to be stored on that within that table object on your right hand side panel. And if you delete that particular table, that particular column from the table, that formula is still retained. You will still be able to use that formula to on any other table in case or any other visualization if you want to.
Okay, so next question from Ruchita. Can Power BI connect to Oracle Fusion?
Yes, it can.
Okay, the next question is from Lisa.
Mhm.
Is this available for Mac? I tried to download it and I got a message that it was not capable.
Well, Lisa, you can please drop me a mail. I will share the downloadable link for Mac version of Power BI.
So next question from Subramanyam. Is Power BI part of MS Office or a standalone application tool?
Yes. So, like I said, after 2013, all the Microsoft Excel will have Power BI components in the form of Power Pivot, which is used to perform the data modeling. Power Query, which is used to connect to the data sources and pull your data, and Power Map, which is also Power View and Power Map, which are the form of visualizations. So everything that you are doing from Power BI can also be done using your Excel. However, you need your Excel should be from above 2013 version. The only
So
reason why
next,
we use Power BI is the ability, or let's say the power to use, the strength of a BI tool. If you are a standalone user and you just want to perform reporting of small excels, which are standalone excels, I would still recommend you to use the Excel 2013 version and above, and use the Power Pivot and the Power View options within that Excel.
so next question is also from Subramanyam. Power
Mhm.
BI is similar Tableau application.
Yes, it is very much similar. However, there are certain differences. It cannot be just a copy, a replica of one another BI tool, but it's just the way it functions. In my upcoming webinars, I will try to give you an introduction to Tableau as well, and then you can make your
Yeah.
own difference. You can judge your own conclusion.
Okay, thank you, sir. We are done with all questions. So
Thank
it
you
was
very
a
much,
great
Ritesh.
session. It was a great session.
It was great for me too. Thank you very much.
Can you share last slide?
Yes, just give me a minute. Ritesh, looks like I don't have it here with me.
Okay, no problem. So
Please
that's it
just
for
yeah.
today.
Yep. All right, thank you very much, Ritesh. I will see you maybe
Yeah,
in the next session. Thank you very much,
yeah.
everyone. Thanks a
Thank
lot
you,
for
everyone.
giving me your time.
Yeah, you can follow us on every social media. We have shared our links in description, or also shared Ashutosh LinkedIn link in description. So follow Ashutosh on LinkedIn, or follow CLT Consulting on all platform for more updates and more webinar updates. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ashutosh.